because it's a long shot. It's not easy to understand. We will talk about DC grids in a second, and that's not easy to understand. And we need to convince many, and so I really build on you to be multipliers for the ideas to come, which will help us improve, because this is an old picture, we still put it in. This is what we need to do. We need to get rid of fossil energy. We need to embrace bridging technologies for a certain time. We need to put everything on renewables, which also end up in more storage and conversion solutions. And we need to be more energy efficient. We need at the same time to improve our smart grid, stabilize, digitalize our transmission and distribution solutions. It's all not done that. So tons of fields that we could work with, and some progress already being made, because in the European Union, it was the first time in 2025 that renewables, wind and solar alone, overtook fossil fuel energy generation for the first time. And it's not going back. It's only going in one direction. But the challenge here, especially for storage and conversion solutions, is bigger and more important than ever. And we are getting there with stuff like that, where we say, okay, what do we do, Phoenix Contact, as a player? We see a supply side where we can support. We have decentralized power generation, windmills, solar plants. We have smart grid management. As I said, grids need to be more intelligent. Just to give you one figure, you know the substations by the street corner, it's probably the same all across the world. They are transforming from 5 kilowatt usually to 400 volts that they supply to your household. Maybe 240 in the US or whatever. But the idea is always the same. And these are dumb transformers. They have copper coils, and they go from a high voltage to a low voltage. That's all they do. They are not smart. They've always been built in a pyramid where we said power generation is on top, high voltage distribution comes next, medium voltage distribution, low voltage distribution, household. That was all the logic behind this. And now we see that this doesn't work. I have an electrical car, I have solar on my roof. But the substation next door was never built for that. Never ever. And they are not controllable. They are not measurable, and since they are not measurable, they are not controllable. So the first thing that everybody needs to do is make them intelligent. Get some measurement into it, understand the status of a substation. And just to give you an indication why integrated energy solutions are so prominent also for Phoenix Contact, just in Germany alone, we have more than 700,000 of those dumb substations that need to be smartified and digitalized. And next step, made controllable. 700,000. And then a digitalization package for that is worth several thousand euros. So you get the idea of how much business is also included in that. There's a necessity for the society, but there's also a business challenge, and that is what we are trying to pursue with that idea. Smart grid, storage, I mentioned this. We are slow on that. I don't know why. I really don't know why. We could have a better grid, we could have a more stable grid, we could have less excess energy that we need to get rid of on windy and sunny days if we have better storage solution, but it's getting there. Just all takes longer than I expected it. And on the consumption side, we have mobility, we have industry that needs to change, and we have an entire infrastructure that needs to change, and we are somewhat here in the middle. We are the technology provider for all of this. And this is our focus: sector coupling, cybersecurity, connectivity, communication, control system, power reliability. All of that is the heart and the core of Phoenix Contact. And if you think it ends here in the All Electric Society Park, which is just a showcase, this is a big exhibition booth. We have done this in real life, and this is what we call the All Electric Society Factory. Internally, Building 60. We have always smart names for stuff, Building 60. So, and here we show sustainable production even in global competition. This is a so-called energy positive building. This building creates more energy on a yearly footprint than it consumes, even with industrial production inside. So it can be done. And this is what we are trying to bring out to the world, hopefully with your support, making this visible that it can be done. It all starts, of course, with photovoltaics, all roofs which can bear 40 gigawatt annual yield from this, and we have everything else. And what you see here in a darker blue is the link between electrical energy and heat energy. And this is the core. If we want to have a more efficient energy world, we need to combine these things. Heat pumps with buffer tanks, local heating networks. And here you have something, maybe you have to have a PhD to understand that. I looked it up on Wikipedia. I can always recommend doing a little research on that. That is an ice storage. And just to give you an idea, that figure is 1,700 cubic meters of water in that tank. And if you look at a swimming pool, public swimming pool, this is not even the size of that. So it's huge. And ice storage is called because at that crystallization point between 0.5 and minus 0.5, the energy that is consumed or stored is 80 times the value of what you have between 1 or 2 degrees. So at that very critical point, you have a huge energy storage capability, and this is what we are using to cool our buildings in summertime, because we need climatization even for production, and of course to heat it at winter times when we have stored warmth throughout the summer. And this is contributing big times. But the more exciting part for us is here, DC technology. This is something that we will be showing you. And it all starts here on the DC grid, 600 volt DC grid. And DC is so smart because it's more efficient. In general, it's more efficient. You need less installation, you have higher efficiency in usage and consumption, you have less losses in conversion, and you have DC. This is DC. A windmill basically gets DC before it's converted back to an AC grid. Everything where we are generating renewable energy is DC. And this needs to be used in a smarter way, like we are using that in cars. As you know, you are slowing down, recuperation regains some of the electrical energy back into the battery. That's the same that you can do with the DC grid in an industry. And this is what we are doing, for example, in logistics centers. You are lifting big loads up and you are lowering big loads down. And this is almost a zero-sum game if you are installing it in the correct way. But the basis needs to be DC. If you don't